Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of the Atlanta United Career Mode series. Took a few days off from the Career Mode, but decided to bring it back now. We're just going to go through some of the players that I'm looking at. I did look at your guys' comments and saw some players that we're definitely interested in picking up. Juan Torres looks like he's a very good player, and so is Barco. So both of those players are definitely people that we can look at in the future. We have had offers come in for Chris McCann and Kenwyne Jones. I don't end up showing you everything in terms of the transfers going through, so I'll let you know now that Kenwyne Jones is going to DC United for $1.2 million, and Chris McCann does not go to Millwall, but he goes to Burton Albion for, I believe, a little bit over $800,000. So both moves that I wanted the Kenwyne move from the beginning. The Chris McCann deal, it took me a while to come to terms with, but because I brought in Kellen Acosta, and we are going to be playing in this 3 in the back formation a little bit more, I don't need Chris McCann as much as I did before everything went through. So we did have an offer that was accepted for Chris McCann through Millwall, but that was before I had decided I wanted to sell him, so I actually ended up rejecting the offer, and that's whenever Burton Albion came in and purchased him off of us. So definitely a little disappointing to lose Chris McCann. He did play very well for us, but I do think that going forward we will probably end up buying another left back if we do want to go that direction. And then also we still have options to play in different formations as of right now. In a 3 in a back formation, Yamil Astad will be playing left mid, which he can get back defensively and do us a job there, while having LGP behind him. I think he'll definitely do well. In 3 in the back formation, we will be running Zimmerman, LGP, and also the youngster, our center back there, Miles Robinson, and he will definitely do a job for us as well. If you guys do remember in the last episode, he was able to grab his first goal for the team, and that's definitely an opportunity we want to keep working towards. So at this point, we are in first place pretty handily with 42 points in 19 games played. We threw a little bit of a jab there at Orlando in the press conference, but going into the game, this is definitely one that we want to make sure that we're winning to the best of our ability and doing the best that we can. So this is going to be a game where I'm going to put as much effort into it as possible. I did think about not trying out the formation this first game, but it ended up working out well for us. So Orlando is a team that I think we can do very well against with this formation. I'm not too worried about them in terms of them attacking my defense too much. Dom Dwyer is obviously always a threat, and so is Kyle Larin, but I think we have the weapons available up top to outscore them, even if it did come down to that. So we do go into this game. The generic stadium they chose for Orlando, probably not the most accurate, but it did end up looking pretty well for them anyways. At this point, we have a 36 goal difference, obviously top of the league, and I believe it's going to show it here, but we have scored 60 goals, or 61 goals at this point in the career mode. So definitely scoring a lot of goals. We'll most likely hit that 100 goal mark, and we'll see how high we can get that. We can get that total too, because as of right now, the second highest scoring team is DC United with 29, and I think we definitely have the potential to increase that. So I'm interested to see how Kenwyne Jones does at DC United as well, and see how much he gets to play. I did kind of feel bad keeping him on the bench all the time, but he just was not working in this team. So hopefully he ends up working out well for them, but not too well that we end up going up against them in the playoffs. So here early on in the game, in the 5th minute, we actually managed to get a really good opportunity. I am thoroughly enjoying Kellen Acosta's ball control, and he passes that ball into Miguel Almiron, who's able to just kind of spin around the defender pretty easily and grab himself another goal. So he is starting to run away with the Golden Boot race a little bit. I think he's about 5 goals ahead of Joseph Martinez at this point, who has kind of taken a little bit more of a backseat role and has been assisting a lot more and kind of just getting into good positions. This formation will get him opportunities, probably not as many as he was getting before, because obviously he has a left forward and right forward next to him now, but it does give him a lot of opportunities to still get forward and do things like this. But he ends up passing the ball into Kellen Acosta, who grabs himself a goal in the 33rd minute. So Again, Kellen Acosta looking like a very good player for us, wearing that number 34, because all numbers 1 through 33 are taken by, or 1 through 32 are taken by players that are already on the team. Walker Zimmerman grabbed number 33, and Kellen Acosta will be 34 for us. So maybe once Chris McCann has left the club, I'm going to give it a little bit of time, probably the end of the season. We'll start off the next season kind of mixing up the numbers a little bit and open up a number for Kellen Acosta if we decide to take him off of that number. But probably more interested in getting a new number for Walker Zimmerman more than anything. So we'll see how things go. Chances are I probably will be buying Juan Torres for the team. I think he's going to do really well for us. He's another midfielder that has very high potential for us in the team. All three of him, Andrew Carleton, and Chris Goslin will be around a 79 rating potential, I believe, and obviously they could outgrow that as well if they end up doing well. So Andrew Carleton definitely going to be able to get into the squad a little bit more now that we're moving into this new formation. I think he can play in that left forward, right forward spot pretty well. Here, Dom Dwyer is actually able to grab himself a goal in the 38th minute, pretty soon thereafter we had scored our goal, but a little disappointing, but definitely a good shot from Dom Dwyer. And I am interested if you guys think I should actually try to go for Rivas, their third striker at this point. Obviously brought into the team, I believe, at the beginning of this season, looking like a very good player for the team. But Orlando City did not have much success with him and ended up bringing in Dom Dwyer shortly after. So if you guys think that Rivas doesn't really fit into the team as well and you think he could fit on the bench for us, that's definitely a player I'm willing to bring in. So I think we can bring him in at the end of his contract if we go ahead and sign him now. So if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, let me know in the comments section below. Obviously we still have some other options to bring in, but here in the 41st minute, right after Orlando City looked like they were getting back into the game, Miguel Almiron is able to grab himself a goal again in this game. So that gives him the brace already in the first half, already looking to maybe score another hat trick, which would be incredible for him. I do want to kind of go back and try to figure out how many hat tricks Miguel Almiron has scored at this point, but he's getting ever so closer to that 30 goal mark already, and we're barely at the halfway point in this season. So definitely going to be very interesting. I will let you guys know now, if I end up winning the league this year and winning the playoffs, I'm not sure if I will continue in MLS career mode as often. I'll probably keep the series going, but I'll probably upload less, and then we may go ahead and actually just start our challenge series with Atlanta United by putting them into another division. So if that's something you guys are definitely interested in seeing, let me know in the comment section below. I did start in Aston Villa career mode, where we're going to be building them up from the ground up. So if you guys did miss that episode yesterday, go ahead and check that out. That will be the start of that series. We're going to try to build them from the ground up with the youth development and see what we can do without spending too much money on players, on big name players. So if that's a series you guys are interested in, definitely go check that out. Player career mode is still working pretty well, and we'll probably end up having another episode of maybe both of those tomorrow going up. So if there's anything else you guys are interested in seeing, let me know. If there's any other players you want me to bring into the team as well. Obviously, we still have about one more episode left of the transfer window, so definitely get your last minute kind of opinions in on what players I should bring in. Again, most of my signings will probably be after this season, especially if I don't win the league. That just being because there's going to be 3 players leaving the squad: Greg Garza, Yamil Assad, and Anton Walks. So that does open up some cap space for us and gives us a lot of abilities to kind of work around the team. I think I will start playing around with the idea of basically buying down Hector Villalba, Tito, as most of y'all know him, and we'll end up bringing in another DP. I really like the idea of bringing in that Blanco kid. He's a player that I think will do incredibly well in the future. He has a 90 potential or something like that in this game, and of course that's not really going to help us in the long run. That's definitely going to be a player that I will bring in for the challenge series, because I do want to try to bring in another Argentine player, but definitely a player that we can kind of play around with the idea here. But here in the 78th minute, we're actually able to grab another goal in this game, and Joseph Martinez is able to grab, I believe that is his second goal. So that's 2 goals for Joseph Martinez, 2 goals for Miguel Almiron, and 1 for Kellen Acosta. So definitely doing very well at this point. Orlando City was very pushed up, and it was just kind of easy to play around them and kind of just end up making moves. But at this point, I believe we had also brought in Brandon Vasquez, so that meant that Joseph Martinez was actually playing it right forward, and he felt pretty good at that position. So that's definitely an idea we could play around with in the future as Brandon Vasquez becomes a stronger player, kind of switching them between that right forward and striker position, trying to figure out where they would best fit. So that will end this Orlando City game. We do play them again, I believe, in August in this schedule. So another opportunity to grab more points against Orlando City and try to sink them even further in the table. So we do end up winning this game 6-1. Brandon Vasquez grabs himself a goal as well. And that goal was insane to actually score. The passing that went into that play, Miguel Almiron, Joseph Martinez, and Brandon Vasquez all linking up very well to score that goal. So definitely a fun game to play nonetheless. 6-1 is always good, and definitely even better whenever it's against Orlando City. So Miguel Almiron able to grab himself a 10.0 rating. Honestly, I think Joseph Martinez would have gotten that rating as well if I hadn't moved him to the right forward position, because I was passing a little bit more with him, and his passing wasn't always going off very well. Here you guys are going to see we're going into the U.S. Open Cup against the New York Red Bulls, a team we struggled with at the beginning of the season. We're actually going to play a much weaker team against them, because I do not care about the U.S. Open Cup. In all honesty, we are in the quarterfinals at this point. So we're going to end up putting out our second team. So we're back into that 4-2-3-1 formation. Alec Khan playing at keeper. A completely new look defense, Zach Lloyd and Bobby Boswell in the middle, Mikey Ambrose, and I believe playing at right back was Tyrone Mears. I might be wrong. Or sorry, no, it was we ended up playing the name is escaping me right now. It'll come to me in a second. But we ended up playing completely new players into the team. Andrew Carleton comes in at center attacking mid and actually grabbed himself a goal in the 34th minute. So definitely does incredibly well to play there. The name has just entered my head, and Mark Bloom is the one playing right back, because he said he did want to play more often, so we will give him the cup games. As long as we're in the cup, he can get into the team pretty easily. Not a player that really does that well in FIFA because of his pace at right back. We may actually end up trying him out at center back in the 3-in-the-back formation sometime in the near future. As we get closer to the end of the season, we need to start resting a lot of our players. But here to end the first half, not much going on in this game. A lot of midfield battles, a lot of bad chances coming from our side. It's more so me trying to adjust playing with players that lack pace. As of right now on the bench, there aren't many players that actually have a lot of speed in this team. So going from a team that starts with 4 or 5 players up top that all have decent pace, that can all get forward very well and outrun defenses, it kind of changes your perception whenever you have to turn back and play a little bit slower. At this point in the 85th minute, we had actually made a couple substitutions, and there are a lot of new faces on the field. Chris Goslin actually makes his return to the pitch. I think we played him a little bit earlier in the season, but Brandon Vasquez able to just run past the defender here, but cannot score from his chance right there. So New York Red Bulls was not playing bad in this game by any means, but they were starting to push forward a little bit, and Miles Robinson, who actually came in at left back at this point in the game, manages to grab himself another goal from a corner header. So he's obviously out and out the best target on the pitch for us for corners. He's tall, he's fast, and he can jump very high. So definitely a good target for us when we do bring him in, and I'm definitely excited to get him into the starting 11 even more often than we were before. So he manages to grab himself a goal there, and definitely was already looking like a good substitution for this second half. So here New York Red Bulls is just kind of trying to bring back, as you see, their center back is already pushing forward. They're definitely on all-out attack at this point. Just kind of trying to win the ball back, make sure that we didn't give them too many opportunities. Anton Walks was also on the pitch at this point as well. Wanted to bring him at right back since we did drop the right back position for the new formation. Here, Julian Gressel puts out a ball very far in front of Miles Robinson, who definitely has the pace to get to it, and just runs down the side of the pitch and passes it it in beautifully to Julian Gressel, who's just kind of lurking in the box, and he managed to grab himself a goal in this 3-0 win. That definitely was more deservedly maybe a 1-0 victory, maybe 2 at the end of the game. But because they were pushing so far forward, we were able to counterattack with Miles Robinson and Julian Gressel, who manages to get in the right spot. Honestly, Brandon Vasquez probably could have taken a touch there, but I'm very glad he did not, and we managed to grab ourselves another goal. So I think at this point in the game, Brandon Vasquez has an assist, Miles Robinson has an assist and a goal, and Andrew Carleton obviously has himself his own little solo effort goal as well. So definitely a good outing, especially considering we lost to New York Red Bulls with our starting 11 at the beginning of the season. To turn it around and use our weaker players, our younger players that have progressed throughout the season through training. Alec Khan also able to get a clean sheet, by the way, who is now 70 rated, which means that if we ever lost Brad Guzan to a transfer or to injury, we do have a decent backup as of right now. So I'm not too worried about trying to buy a new keeper, but it will be something we look at in the future, but it manages to keep it a little bit further away. So we do return back to the MLS at this point, and we're going to go up against Sporting KC, a team that maybe worried me a little bit, especially playing in this new formation. They do have a decent amount of pace that could end up kind of playing against us a little bit. Also, the team for Graham Zusi, so you have to look at the game a little bit differently when he's on the pitch. So still a game that I felt comfortable in at this point. 41 goal difference, 45 points from 20 games played. Still a game in hand on most of the teams in the Eastern Conference, that should also be noted. But definitely a game that we were looking forward to, and we were looking forward to trying to get more goals. Here, Miguel Almiron is able to get out on that left wing, and at first I didn't know who had scored this goal. I was pretty sure it was an own goal. They ended up giving it to Miguel Almiron. He ended up having a horrible shot, which honestly, if I remember correctly, I think I tried to cross the ball at that point. I tried a double tap cross, but it ended up going as a shot anyways, and it ended up just bouncing off of the defender and straight into the net. But if the defender didn't end up doing that, it was going to be Tito at the back stick, hopefully grabbing that goal as well. So definitely a lot of opportunities in this game, but we really couldn't take care of anything until the end of the first half. But we do also end up bringing off Julian Gressel, who has been working hard in the team, and to bring on Andrew Carleton into that position. So going into the second half with a lead, I did feel comfortable enough in this game that I did believe that Andrew Carleton could do a job for us at that right mid spot. I do think we end up switching around the formation a little bit going into the second half, but Andrew Carleton will definitely end up getting his opportunities now in this new formation. He could play left mid, right mid. He could honestly play in that left forward or right forward position, and also at center mid. So definitely a lot of opportunities for him to get into the team, and he will definitely be a force to be reckoned with, I think, in this team for sure. His ball control is already incredible. Him and Chris Gosling both. I just need to work on their defense just a little bit more. Here in the 58th minute, we managed to grab another goal for Miguel Almiron. Tito actually manages to run the ball all the way to the byline and just crosses it in, and just passes it straight across the face of goal, and manages to get that to Miguel Almiron, who kicks it straight at the keeper, but it was hard enough that the keeper could not hold on to it. So we go 2-0 up thanks to Miguel Almiron, who's continuing to grab himself goals and separate himself from Joseph Martinez. But we do end up conceding in the 90th minute. A little bit of a lapse of judgment here, and also a few players were obviously tired because they did play at the weekday. So a little disappointing to concede a goal and not get another clean sheet, because we are trying to get Brad Guzan up there in the clean sheet race. Was a little bit disappointing to concede, but it was, at the end of the day, always going to be 3 more points on the board. So running away with the Eastern Conference a little bit. Now we're just kind of trying to keep good form going into the playoffs, which is still about a month and a half away at this point. So if you guys did enjoy this episode, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, I will see you guys later.